I have a special guest coming in, and I'm so excited. I have so much respect for this young lady. I remember I introduced her at some event. It was a church event, I think, or at least Pastor McCoy told me, Brandon, can you introduce my next guest? And it was an honor because there's not many women in the world today that are bold, courageous, that have faith, that are willing to stand, that actually can back up what they say. There's hardly any. I mean, I could probably count on my one hand how many I know personally. And I want you guys to give a incredible welcome to Riley Gaines.
Well, thank you. You are just the best. You're someone who I admire a whole lot. You're bold, stand in your faith, and of course, a lot of these cultural, social issues that we see. So I could not be more grateful and honored to be on with you. So thank you, Brandon.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I'm excited about your new book. I cannot wait to read it. I'm not sure if it's out yet. We'll get into that, but it's called Swimming Against the Current. And you're also the host of your podcast called Games for Girls. But I want to talk about your book real quick. Swimming Against the Current, incredible name. Can you tell us, what inspired you to write the book and give us a synopsis of what people can expect by reading this new book?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind these past 2 years or so. I never would have imagined I would add author to my resume, but here we are. And I actually just found out it's a national bestseller, which is very exciting
Awesome.
news. But really, what inspired me to write this book? This is something that I wish I had when I had faced what I faced at that national championships back in 2022. I had no resources, I had no support, I had no knowledge about how to talk about this issue, what was going on behind the scenes. And that's what this book is. You can expect to hear a little bit about me, right? A little bit about my background, what it takes to compete and ultimately be successful at the highest level, a more in-depth account of what we face at that national championships in regard to the unfair competition and the locker room, and the silencing that we face from our universities and our administrators, how we got here, again, the trajectory of where we're going, and what we as everyday people, as common sense Americans who intuitively know that men and women are different, what we can do to combat this movement.
It's crazy that we even have to say that at this point. Men and women, people are confused. Leah Thomas. It's a man. Leah Thomas is a man. Everybody know that he's a man. Now, breaking news that I saw it yesterday, but I guess that Leah Thomas lost the legal battle in participating in this month's Olympics. And so, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, it seemed like the Olympic committee got it right. I don't know why in the world they're still struggling with this in high school and college.
No, I know it. Actually, the Olympic Committee has it entirely wrong. The Olympic
Oh,
Committee
is that
had no
right?
weight in this decision, but nonetheless, the courts got it right, which is amazing and is certainly not always the case as we have seen recently. But it's a huge victory for women and girls everywhere. I mean, it's kind of sad that we are basically celebrating a judge ruling. I mean, it's essentially the same as a judge ruling that the sun sets in the west. That's the point
Yeah.
where we're at right now. But nonetheless, it is a victory in a time where it is deemed controversial to defend biological reality, to defend sex-based protections and sex-based rights, to defend women. But nonetheless, it's a win, and we celebrate those wins. Thomas can still compete in the Olympics, although he never will because he will never qualify in his rightful category, and that's the men's category.
100%. Homeboy was trash when he was a man, and that's why a lot of them switch. I mean, because they know when they are competing as a man, they look at the numbers and they say, "Well, I'm getting dusted off running against the men, or swimming against the men, or competing lifting against men." But I can look right over the aisle. I can see what the numbers are for women, and if I somehow became a woman, I'll be number one. It's crazy that they're
Exactly.
always like number one or number two. They make the podium in every event that they end up transitioning to. But do you think, Riley, that people are waking up? Obviously you guys have been doing an incredible job, especially you and others. I played sports at the University of Arizona where we had some incredible swimmers, and I know that they're fighting the same fight that you're fighting. But do you think people are finally waking up, or do we have a long way to go?
100%. People are waking up. it's people who maybe would have considered themselves apolitical before, people who didn't really like Trump because of the mean tweets, or people who never saw this as an issue that would affect them. Those are the people who are now understanding what's at stake. They understand the direction that our country is going. They see the threat that is being imposed by the Biden administration, and of course, trickling all the way down. And so, yes, I'm more hopeful now than I've been these past 2 years. Trump is up in the polls by double digits. We have over 20 states suing the Biden administration and the Department of Education for their illegal administrative rewrite of Title IX. This new court ruling, we had a big win in Texas. Attorney General Ken Paxton ultimately was able to get a federal judge to halt the Biden administration's new proposed Title IX and the effects of that, which are set to take place in August. None of this would have happened 2 years ago. So that tells me that now we are going in the positive forward direction. It's sad that it takes unfortunate circumstances. It takes girls losing out on opportunities. It has had to take girls being exploited in locker rooms, or being even injured in their sports before people understand the harm that's being done. But now I truly think they do, and I believe that the pendulum is restoring itself.
Riley, what do you think? That's two things I want to talk to you about. I'm gonna start with this one, and we're gonna get to Caitlin Clark in a second. So, but one thing is, what do you think the parents? What's their position in this? Because a lot of these young people in college, I mean, or in high school, some of these younger people, they're getting pressured and coerced into doing things that they may not agree with. What's the parents' role in this, man? Why aren't parents standing up and saying, "Look, enough is enough. We're gonna take action."
Yeah, there's a lot of fingers to point here. Ultimately, how we got here, right? We could point a finger at the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. We could point a finger at the NCAA, or again, the Biden administration. But I think there's a finger to be pointed back at the parents. We have seen a failure on the account of parents who are willing to defend their kids, defend their daughters at that. I talk to parents all the time who reach out to me and they say, thank you for doing what you're doing. I can't say anything. My daughter's dealing with this, but I'll lose my job. So thank you for fighting for her. And it breaks my heart that you have parents who, I mean, this isn't a hill that they're willing to die on. If this isn't,
Mm,
then what in the world is the hill that you're willing to die on? Do I have to care about your kids more than you do? What a tragic reality that is. But nonetheless, it's what we're seeing. And so, what we need to see from parents: defend your kids, defend your daughters, teach your sons how to be strong men at that. Stand up for them. It's so sad that the burden has to be bared by young girls. I mean, you look at what happened in West Virginia. Those 5, 13, 14-year-old girls, middle schoolers, who were forced to compete against a boy, who ultimately these girls made the decision that they weren't going to. And it broke my heart. They
right,
messaged me and they said, Riley, do we have to fight for second place? Are we not worthy of calling ourselves
right,
champions? How sad that 13, 14-year-old girls have to think that.
right.
We need to see parents who are willing to stand up, and we need to see coaches who are willing to stand up.